And away we go. Well, at least for now, it's just me. I do expect the regulars to come on, however. Well, as of this recording, after a long, long while, I'm planning to have another guest on for one of my podcasts. He's he's from somewhere in Africa, and he's a musician, so I'll leave that in there, you know. But otherwise, I before getting into the news, I have to say this right now. What I've been through is absolute madness. I was bamboozled. I was frazzled. I was spazitated like crazy. And that's impressive. I'll give them that. And when I say by them, I'm not going to call them out. I'm not going to call them out like that. But the point is, whatever stress happens in your life, you must build resilience and have the patience. Because it may look bad now, but eventually it will lead up to something good. So good, you may not even anticipate it. And yeah, now, whenever I talk, I just feel that I'm whiny. It sounds like I'm very whiny, but that's just me. People would say otherwise. Most people would say otherwise, but personally, a lot of people don't like hearing their own voices. I don't like how I sound because I feel, not feel, I sound whiny. So yeah, but yeah, a lot of stress, but eventually it works out in the end. Hopefully. Okay, so on to the news. Ford hikes prices on Mexico-produced models, citing tariffs. All right then. Ford announced price increases of up to $2,000 on its Maverick, Bronco Sport, and Mustang Mach-E models built in Mexico, effective May 2nd, 2025. Well, as of this recording, it's already happened, so a bit late for that, but okay. Ford attributed the price increases primarily to $2.5 billion in added expenses caused by the Trump administration's imposition of a 25% tariff on cars brought in from Mexico and China. The price adjustments reflect usual mid-year updates combined with tariff-related expenses, with larger hikes like $700 for Maverick XXLT AWD and $600 for Bronco Sport Heritage Series. Ford stated that it has absorbed part of the tariff expenses instead of transferring the full increase to buyers, and it will maintain its employee pricing discount on all impacted models through July 4th. So, here we go again. Tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. If Eric was here right now, he would say the same thing. We're talking about tariffs quite recently, and yes, we are. But hey, I'm not defending nor supporting putting tariffs on products. However, I will say that although it is good to collaborate with other nations to exchange goods and services, countries can't be too reliant on goods and services from other countries. They have to produce something for themselves, so that way their economy can remain stable, as well as giving people inside countries the options to choose what kind of products they want to buy. Would they like to buy products that's from another country, or do they want products that were made in their own country? So, although I understand why tariffs are a thing, and unfortunately it has to be done, at least having these tariffs at least gives opportunities for companies and organizations to at least adjust themselves for those changes, and of course gives consumers the options to choose such services to their liking. So yeah, I'll give them that. A bit concerned, but hey, it's gonna come at some point, so might as well. Cardinals enter Sistine Chapel to begin secret ritual to elect new pope. Ah yes, the day has come. With all the pomp, drama, and solemnity that the Catholic Church can muster, 133 cardinals on Wednesday began the centuries-old ritual to elect a successor to Pope Francis. celebrating a morning mass before opening the geographically diverse conclave in the faith's 2,000-year history. Wow. Roughly 2,000 years the Catholic Church has been going on, or at least the establishment of the Vatican has been going on for quite a while. Now, although I've heard people saying that Parolin is somewhat the favorite to be the next pope, I wouldn't rule out Luis Tagle, or Tagle. I'm not sure how it's spelled, but I know it's spelled Tagle, Tagle. So yeah, and of course there's Raymond, Burke, and Sarah. I know those were the two that some of the more conservative Catholic Christians are wanting to be the next pope. But I think, from my perspective, in my opinion, I think given the reforms and the changes and the impact Pope Francis has made in the Vatican, that I think the reforms being made is one of the reasons why I believe that people say that Parolin is more or less the favorite to be the next pope. It could be Targle. It could be Targle. It's not definite, but it could be. So anything's possible. And to say, how long would this conclave even last? The longest the conclave has gone on for was 3 years, and that was centuries ago. So we don't have to. Thankfully, we don't have to wait years for a new pope to be elected. I'd say give it a few days, maybe a few weeks, maybe a month. So that's it. That's like rough average time frame it would take. I don't pay attention personally. I don't pay attention to what goes on in the Catholic Church or the Vatican, but from my personal rough estimates, I'd say a few days, few weeks, certainly a month or two, but certainly no more than 2 months. It'd be it'd be quite intense if it took like more than a month to decide the new pope. May Day demonstrations in US and around the globe protest Trump agenda. I got that right. Hundreds of thousands of people protested across the United States and worldwide on May 1st, the International Workers' Day, opposing President Trump's agenda. These demonstrations arose from opposition to Trump's policies on tariffs, immigration, labor protections, and public services, according to organizers across various cities. Local protests included about 100 attendees at Westfield Park Square Garden. No, wait. 100 attendees at Westfield Park Square Green, holding signs with slogans like "Defend Democracy" and speeches urging to keep revolutionary spirit alive. State Representative Matt Longjohn highlighted a trickle-down of pain due to economic policies, while community efforts such as food drives and trash pickups featured in some protests. The event signaled continued grassroots resistance across the administration's actions and a call for ongoing public engagement to influence policy changes. I do have one question. As much as I support freedom of speech, protest, whatever issue goes on, do people think that protests alone would be enough? And I think Eric would also say the same thing. It's important to have your voice heard, but protests alone isn't enough. I believe there has to be some kind of long-term plan. Kind of like just stop oil, just minus the standing in the middle of traffic to be inconvenient to those who are driving by car or whatever emergency services are driving those roads. Like, protests is important and it does get the message across, but protests alone is not enough. There's got to be a long-term plan. There has to be a plan B. There has to be an alternative to getting the message out. Because roughly 90% of the time, most people that are the target of protests in question said it's just not going to give a damn. Yes, they will acknowledge the protest, but it would barely mean diddly squat to them. Because what many companies and organizations, all they care about is the profits these companies make and making the shareholders happy and making sure that they are satisfied with whatever financial gains are coming from such businesses and organizations. If people really want to hit these corporations or businesses where they really hurt, reach for their pockets, dry them of financial subsidies, and only then you will give them a taste of their own medicine, and you will give them what they deserve. But other than that, what else could people do? Well, one can only assume and think and assume again, and so on. But who knows? Shingles vaccine lowers risk of heart disease for 8 years. People who receive a shingles vaccine have a 23% lower risk of cardiovascular events, according to a study published in the European Heart Journal. The vaccine's protective effect lasts for up to 8 years and is more beneficial for individuals under 60. Vaccinations Vaccination leads to a 26% lower risk of major cardiovascular events and a 22% lower risk of coronary heart disease. The study suggests vaccinations may provide health benefits beyond preventing shingles, though it does not establish a direct causal relationship. Well, so Eric would ask, what do you think about this? I would say it's a grey area. On one hand, it's great to see that the world of healthcare and medicine is progressing. But on the other hand, there is a question about what is in the vaccines. And I know that we know from the experts, they say what the vaccine will do and the effects that comes with it. But what not many people are asking is, what's in the vaccines? What does the vaccines have that creates the effect of preventing illness, or gives whatever effects that the health experts are saying? That is something people don't question often, and they should. They really should, because it's good to know exactly what people are in for when they go for a shot or a vaccine. Because I know most people on the right are very skeptical about vaccines. I think personally it just comes down to what's in them. Because if there is some substances within these vaccines that may, I say may, cause some kind of negative effect, how long will that last? Hello, Eric.
Hey, how you doing?
Not much. I just started the episode. I'm just looking at a news article. Shingles, shingle vaccines lower risk of heart disease for 8 years. And I was reading through, like, shingles vaccines have a 23% lower risk of cardiovascular events, and also as well 22% lower risk of coronary heart disease. The study suggests vaccination may provide health benefits beyond preventing shingles, though it does not establish a direct causal relationship. And I was just talking in the episode, like, I feel that this is a grey area. Like, on one hand, it's great to see that the industry of healthcare and medicine is progressing and preventing diseases. Good for them. But on the other hand, and I know people on the right have questioned and being skeptical about vaccines, like, what is in the vaccines that's causing the effects of preventing such illnesses? Now, if there is something in the vaccines that may cause some harm, how long would that last? And I think that would probably prove both people's points.
Okay. So where were you? So like pretty much, what did you gather from that?
So what I got from that is that's great. It's great to see that there's progress in terms of healthcare and medicine. Well, although I do question, like, what is in the vaccines. I'm not saying I'm against them. I'm just saying people don't question enough about what's in them that causes our bodies to prevent such illnesses.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And that is a valid point as well.
Indeed.
But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Two Belgian teenagers found with 5,000 ants in Kenya given $7,700 fine or 1 year prison sentence.
Say that one more time.
On April 5th, two 19-year-old Belgian teenagers, Leroy David and Sepe Lodiviek, ugh, that last name, were detained in Naivasha, Kenya, after authorities discovered they were in possession of 5,000 ants at the accommodation where they were staying. They violated wildlife conservation laws by illegally possessing and trafficking live queen ants, including the valuable native species Mesocephalus.
They were trafficking live.
Yes,
Who does that?
I have no idea.
Like, bro, trafficking ants for what? What profit can you gain from that?
I don't know. I think maybe the species could be in somewhat value. If it's very rare, then of course, why wouldn't they sell for good money? But again, if you if species are sold to a different foreign climate, it will cause an imbalance in the environment. Like there could be an overpopulation of such species and causes the native species to die out because the species in question are invasive to such environments. So that's why people are worried. But of course, it is very funny to think about how trafficking live queen ants is such a crime these days. Like,
Anything else? I see ants everywhere. Dude,
yeah,
I see some of them in a pile in the summer. I don't step on them though, 'cause it's like they're not bothering me. So, but yeah, it's like I would get if they were going extinct. But trafficking insects is a crime now.
apparently,
Well, I will say this: it's better than trafficking children. I'm not saying any form of trafficking in general is good, but considering there's a bunch of ants in the world, I say this is not.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like I'm just so confused though, because it's like trafficking ants, trafficking ants. That is that's the big crime we're worried about. Trafficking ants.
yes. There are many other crimes, but no, we have to arrest two teenagers because they're hoarding the ants and taking them somewhere that we do not know of.
These were teenagers too, trafficking, right? You said teenagers.
Yeah, they were trafficking live queen ants.
They better be worth. I'm just gonna say they better be worth something. They better be worth something. Because it's like, bro, there's no reason why anyone should be trafficking.
So true.
There should really be no reason. They better be worth some serious coin, man. Because like, what I fail to see the reason why anyone would want to traffic some ants.
Yeah,
But hey, all each his own.
all to their own.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, anything else in the news?
Antarctica gains ice for the first time in decades, reversing trend of mass loss.
Huh, interesting. Is there more in this news?
A peer-reviewed study published on March 19th, 2025, found Antarctica's ice sheets gained mass between 2021 and 2023. This increase followed a period from 2011 to 2020 when the ice sheets were rapidly losing mass due to melting at the surface and an accelerated flow of ice into the ocean. Unusual precipitation patterns led to the Antarctic ice sheets gaining around 108 gigatons annually, which temporarily reduced the rate at which sea levels were rising by roughly 0.3 millimeters each year.
Very interesting. You have any like initial thoughts on that?
Great. It's great to see Antarctica is getting ice again.
I mean, I will say this, man. Antarctica has definitely been through a lot. Antarctica has been through a lot of struggles for the past couple of years, so it's great to definitely see Antarctica getting a win, multiple wins. But let's see if their streak continues to keep going.
I
Let's see.
do hope so.
Yeah, me too. Because like I'm not gonna lie, the Penguins, the Polar Bears, legitimately any other animal that is there deserves to be living somewhere comfortable and well that they can live.
Oh yes,
But yeah, it's just great to see that Antarctica is getting a win.
absolutely.
But yeah, it's like is there anything else?
Over 200 alleged child predators arrested in FBI operation.
Great. That is great to hear. Is there more in this?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, it's great. Is there any more in the story?
Yes, the FBI-led Operation Restore Justice, a 5-day nationwide effort ending in early May 2025, arresting 205 alleged child sex predators across all 55 field offices. The operation leveraged the Department of Justice's sustained efforts, backed by specialized units within the crime division and collaboration with the U.S. attorney offices nationwide to address and prevent child sexual exploitation. During the operation, authorities saved 115 children and apprehended suspects, including law enforcement personnel and civilians from multiple states, who are now federally charged with offenses involving child exploitation.
Well, I'm glad to see that those are I'm definitely glad to hear that those guys are getting arrested. Or
Yes, me too.
yeah, honestly, yeah, it's like gotta protect the children. I've been seeing a lot of work in that profession get done as of late. There are surprisingly a lot of dumb pedophiles out there who try to go out and meet kids, and I'm glad that like they're getting their justice, their just desserts. Realistically, I feel like they not even I feel like I know they know it's wrong. Some dudes, I would say like there are other dudes who know it's wrong but decide to do it anyways, and there are other dudes who are just fully aware that it's wrong, but it's just something that they enjoy for some sick reason.
It's just sad.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I would say it comes down. I would say it would come down to like something happened throughout their lives that made them like this. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying that you should feel bad for them for that because at the end of the day, they're adults. They make this. They consciously make this decision. They could easily make the decision not to do it and to probably seek the right help if they need to. Um, in order to like just not think about this at all. They just go on with their lives, but no, it's like they actively choose to go out, do terrible things to children. Whether it's like yeah, whether it's like they know it's bad or they not know. I will say this: there is not one grown man, and unfortunately the majority of it is men. But there's not women, but like the majority of it is just men. But yeah, there's no way there's a grown man who does not know that this is wrong, unless it's like a special case where like legitimately you didn't even know this was wrong. But I would say 100% of the time, most people know it's wrong, but it's just something that they go through with because they're quote unquote lonely. I said quote unquote, or this is just something that they enjoy. So it's like so it's like pretty much you pretty much make your own bed. I would say just take it to the chin, go to jail, serve your time, whatever time that may be. I mean, if the prisoners find out, you probably will get beat up in prison for it because, hey, they maybe have done sick things, but it's like, they definitely draw the line when it comes to pedophiles because, well, yeah, I would say, like, even inmates who have killed people, I don't even know if I should say that they have some form of moral compass. I would say when it comes to children, they have like an extremely strong moral compass. It's like in prison, they don't like people who do those type of things. Like, that's what I've heard. They don't like terminals, and I think that's what you call pedophiles, terminals. But yeah, it's like it's just definitely great to see that yeah, kids are
They are
like
getting what they deserve.
yeah, getting what they deserve. But yeah, may that continue to be the case. May more pedophiles continue to get caught and locked up for trying to meet children. And yeah, may like the vigilantes or the general police force catch these guys in the act. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of people doing that a lot lately. pretty good though. It's pretty good. You're cleaning up the streets, you're doing something right, and you're protecting the children. So that's good.
Indeed.
But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Pakistan calls India strike act of war, says it downed Indian jets.
Huh, interesting. Is there any more in the news?
On Wednesday, India launched Operation Sindoor, carrying out airstrikes targeting 9 locations across Pakistan and areas of Kashmir controlled by Pakistan in retaliation for a deadly attack earlier in April in Indian Kashmir. India blamed Pakistan-based militants for the April massacre that killed 26 mostly Indian tourists, while Islamabad denied involvement and called the strikes an act of war. Pakistan said it hit 6 locations, including mosques and civilian areas, claimed to have shot down 5 Indian jets, and retaliated with shelling that killed civilians in Indian Kashmir. The conflict caused at least 8 deaths and 35 injuries from Indian strikes, with Pakistani shelling killing 7 civilians and prompting flight cancellations and school closures on both sides.
I would say, well, for one, it's terrible all around, but I'm just glad that there wasn't that many deaths. Although there were deaths nonetheless, so I'd say that this is an all-around terrible situation to be in. But it's just fortunate that there are people there are more people who only got injured rather than killed. So I will say, like in all this, all around, it's not a very good situation to be in. You know, obviously, any form of like a war or attacks on other countries, it just needs to be resolved. In a perfect world, it would be resolved, and we wouldn't have like these problems. But unfortunately, we all have differences, so therefore, it's always going to be like this until the end of time. Because you're always going to have that one leader who disagrees with another leader, like tactics or just rules or anything like that, and they're going to want to wage war on it.
Indeed.
So all we can really do is just hope and pray for the best and just wait and see what happens next.
Absolutely.
But yeah, do you have any thoughts?
Well, from what I've heard about what goes on in Kashmir, and I will say it again, although I've already said it, I think the entire region of Kashmir is better off being its own independent nation. Because if it's a mix of Pakistanis and Indians living in the area, and the two countries are going to fight who has control or sovereignty over it, just let Kashmir be its own thing and let the people of Kashmir decide how they want to live their lives. I think that is the best case scenario. But of course, I know for certain that India nor Pakistan won't let that go.
Yeah, like they definitely won't let that go, at least so easily. It just really depends on like what will happen between the two. But yeah, it's like just let them live and like do their own thing and just see what happens from there.
Yes,
But obviously, yeah, like just but I don't believe that that's gonna happen because they probably see that there's something to gain from not letting them do that, which is probably why they don't want to like let them do that. Even though it would be the easiest thing to do on their part, on everyone's part, really. They probably see that there's something to gain, or it's just probably a power. They don't want to. Sorry, hold on. Sorry. They pretty much don't want to let that power go. But yeah, it's like for the most part, we just have to wait and see what happens.
indeed.
But yeah, anything else in the news?
Oaks resigns as Alpine F1 boss. Beratore takes over.
Huh, interesting. Any more on that news?
Yes. Oliver Oaks resigned as Alpine Formula One team principal on May 6, 2025, after less than 1 year in the role. His resignation followed a turbulent period for Alpine, including ownership changes, poor 2025 results, and ongoing driver's seat speculation. Flavio Beratore, the former team boss who returned as executive advisor, will cover Oak's duties amid Alpine's current ninth place in the championship. The team stated it accepted Oak's resignation with immediate effect and thanked him for contributing to sixth place in the 2024 Constructors' Championship.
Interesting. Seems seems like that's actually I really don't really have any initial thoughts on that. Do you?
Not much I could say. It's just, well, best of luck to him, I guess. He
Yeah,
did the
that's true.
best he can.
Yeah, that's true. He definitely did do the best he can. That's all you can. But yeah, is there anything else?
Rescue crews search for missing girl lost in Texas floodwaters while forecasters warn of more storms.
Hmm. What more is in that news?
Rescue crews in Texas are searching for a 10-year-old girl who was swept away by rapidly rising floodwaters. The search is taking place in the city of Brenham with support from around a dozen agencies using drones and dogs. Forecasters from the National Weather Service warn of heavy rains and flooding, with up to 6 inches expected on Tuesday. A flood watch is in effect for a large area of Texas and parts of neighboring states, according to the National Weather Service.
Wow. That is a lot. That is a lot to take in.
It sure is.
What are your thoughts on it?
Well, all I can say is I hope the little girl is safe and
Yeah,
unharmed.
yeah, honestly, me too. So at the end of the day, it's like there are there are things that happen in this life, and well, you just really have no control over it at the end of the day. And yeah, like I just really hope like no one is harmed that she's safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I just hope that she's safe and I hope she's sound. I hope that everything's just okay. And that's pretty much all I got to say about that.
Yeah,
Anything else?
not much more on the story.
No, I mean, is there anything other stories?
Yes, Putin and Maduro signed strategic partnership agreement.
Huh. Okay. That does sound very interesting. Let's hear more on this partnership.
On Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro formalized a strategic partnership agreement during a meeting in Moscow. Maduro arrived in Moscow on the evening of May 6th to attend Victory Day commemorations, continuing Venezuela's alliance established under Hugo Chavez. The treaty aims to deepen cooperation in energy, transport, pharmaceuticals, global security, counter-terrorism, and preserving historical memory. Putin called the deal a good base for cooperation, while Maduro said it will help relations flourish between a great Russia and Venezuela.
Well, I will say this: any relationship that's good is great. That's great. And I will say this, and if it's a great deal, then I say like that's definitely a very great way of like doing business and doing well. I will say, and I will say also say this: generally speaking, you always want to make sure things are good between two parties before you do business. And well, that's just a great thing. That's just a great thing to hear that everything's fine between the two. And the partnership, hopefully it lasts a very long time. But hopefully, they go places with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Because like honestly speaking, like yeah, with any partnership, you would want to how do I say with any partnership in general, you would want to just make sure that both sides are benefiting from it. That both sides are benefiting from it in any which way possible. Because at the end of the day, it's like you're gonna have to work with the person, so therefore you wouldn't want any bad blood between the two. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens and see if it lasts a very long time.
Indeed.
But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Portnoy says anti-Semitic message found in Barstool Bar.
Okay. Any more on that?
Dave Portnoy, founder of Barstool Sports, revealed an anti-Semitic sign appeared at his Barstool Sansom Street bar in Philadelphia on Saturday night. The incident involved customers ordering a sign reading "Fuck the Jews," which two waitresses wait waiter waiter and one Temple University student was suspended for involvement. Portnoy called an emergency press conference on Sunday to express anger, announced he will pay for those responsible to tour Auschwitz, and described the event as a teaching moment. Temple University is investigating the incident, with President John Fry condemning anti-Semitism as abhorrent and promising strict disciplinary actions, including expulsion if others are involved.
Do you have any initial thoughts on that?
Well, I will say, everyone has every right to express their opinion, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions. But of
Yeah.
course, you can never be too cautious about expressing your opinions, because you never know. Because whoever is currently whoever is responsible for these messages, but most importantly, who's currently in charge of the university or local governments or other organizations, you're never going to know what they will do to you if you go against their principles, their ideas, opinions, etc. And they'll just do whatever without question. Mostly.
Yeah, that is true. Everyone is entitled to their opinions, but at the end of the day, you will probably have to face the consequences if, like, your school disagrees with you, or whether it's or suspension, or it's just actually I feel like that's the only way they can dish out the consequences through suspension. If you're attending a school, I can't really see any other way that they can dish out any punishment. I mean, can they call the cops on you? Maybe, but for what? Just because you have an opinion? That's dumb. But you never really know. People are just weird. People also call the cops for stupid reasons too. So I wouldn't put it past them. I wouldn't put it past them to do that. But yeah, everyone is entitled to their opinion, whether if you agree with it or disagree with it. But at the end of the day, you just have to be prepared to face that fire. And if you can quench that fire, then that's great. But if you can't, then just have a backup plan.
Indeed.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
but yeah, it's like I will say this, it's that
Gotta be careful and prepare yourselves.
yeah, pretty much. You just gotta be careful. Yeah, that's okay. Pretty much in this situation, you just gotta simply pace yourself. Actually, no, you can have your own opinion, but you have to say it in a certain way where, even if it does offend people, you can say it in a certain way where it's digestible.
It doesn't sound harsh, or at least play it off as a joke. Like you don't mean to be that harsh. It's just to get a reaction out of people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Like, just make it digestible. Make it digestible to certain people. Even if they get offended, it's like they'll kind of get their point. I mean, there are going to be those extremists who take it just completely out of hand. But ultimately speaking, it's like as long as you hold your peace and you say it in a certain way where people can at least understand you and see your perspective, they'll disagree with you still, but they'll see your perspective on it, and you won't get nothing bad will happen to you. But yeah, that's at least how I see it. Yeah. But yeah, is there anything else?
Bill Gates meets Indonesian leader to discuss health and sustainable development initiatives.
Huh. Okay. Is there more on that?
On Wednesday, May 7th, 2025, Bill Gates met with Indonesia's President Prabowo Subianto at Merdeka Palace in Jakarta to engage in talks focused on initiatives related to global health, sustainable growth, and development. The visit came after Indonesia introduced an extensive initiative this year designed to combat malnutrition by providing food support to close to 90 million children and expectant mothers, with a projected budget of $28 billion through 2029. The meeting covered topics including global health, nutrition, financial inclusion, and digital infrastructure, with Gates planning to visit a primary school in Jakarta Eastern District that participate in the free nutritious meals.
Wait, Bill Gates? You said Bill Gates?
Yes, Bill Gates.
Okay, okay, Bill Gates. So,
Yes, Bill
my
Gates.
question is, do we think that he's really trying to do things for our health, for anybody's health?
Unfortunately, that's just not the case.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to say that it's a good thing, but it's like, we know what Bill Gates is all about. We know he wants us to eat certain things so that we can remain sick, and rely on big pharma to like get better. But even still, even with those medicines, those are temporary medicines that will put a band-aid on it until the things, whatever thing you have starts hurting again, or just like flare. We need something that is a long-term cure. And the real question, why? Sorry, looking at. It's like we need a long-term cure for things, and Bill Gates just is not trying to provide that. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
All I can say is do our own work. If there are people that do care, don't rely on big organizations to do the work. You too can do it too. Just gotta start somewhere.
Yeah,
And one by one, eventually, the hard work will pay off.
yeah, that's true. Your hard work will definitely pay off. But the real question is, do most people want to really do that hard work, or do they just want to find the convenience in certain things? Like, find the convenience in certain things. It's the second answer. People just want something that's extremely convenient. And that's fine, in a way. But you have to also read, but you also have to make sure that that thing that you're buying that's extremely convenient to get from a store is healthy for you. Make sure that you're not getting sick year in and year out. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I get I get sick sometimes. I get sick sometimes, but I'm glad that I don't get sick all the time. But when I do get sick, I'm just I'm terrible. Like, bro, I'm just a big baby. I'm a big baby about it. I'm not used to that. If I was used to it, then I'd be like, oh. But it's like, yeah, some of these foods that we get make us sick, and we don't know why. We don't know what the cause of it is. But yeah, I do not trust Bill Gates in terms of whatever plan he has, because we know what plan he has. I'm not gonna say it like he says it, but Rich says it all the time.
Oh yes, he sure does.
To make us eat the bug.
You will own nothing and be happy. You will eat the bug.
You know, the sad part is with that you will own nothing and be happy. Some people actually don't mind that. It's like as long as it doesn't affect their lives. Some people actually won't care if they own nothing and be happy. You know?
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. So if you own nothing and you don't pay something off, then they can just easily take it back. You would want to own it. So if you have a family, you can just pass it down to them for generations to generations to generations until eventually your bloodline just stops having children and then it dies off. And then it just ultimately dies off. But yeah, other than that, while you're in this life, you would at least want to own something. Even if it's like a obscure land where there's dry soil, you would want to at least own it, even if you can't grow anything on that land. I mean, that's the worst case scenario, but at the end of the day, if you're able to own it, that's good. That's good enough. That's good enough. You could probably like, I'll say you could probably just pray for a miracle that something can grow there, but or just somehow replace all the soil with new soil so that you can start growing like crops on there. Other than that, that's all I see. That's pretty much all I can think of. Yeah,
Yeah,
you would want to own things that you have because
exactly.
if you don't own it, they can just easily take it away from you at any given point. And shoot, they'll probably be on your butt too in trying to buy it off you, but just say no because whatever land you have is clearly far more precious than they may think, than they may see. Well, than you may see. They see the value. But if you don't, then yeah, you're usually gonna fold and say, all right, here's my land. But I would say if you are gonna sell your land, get a hefty price for it, and then just buy another land. Simple as that.
Yeah, simple as that.
I mean, it's not going to be simple in it's not going to be simple in like per se. I mean, in action, there's going to be stuff that you have to do, but yeah, it's like just own what you got, dude. You own the shoes on your feet, you own the clothes on your back. I mean, you know, what? It would be kind of funny if you owned nothing and be happy. They could probably take the clothes off your back too. They
Yeah,
could probably they could probably take the clothes off your back. I forgot what show this was. I'm trying to determine whether it was SpongeBob or anything else, but I think I remember like there was this show where it's like I think like this person was broke and they couldn't pay for anything, so they took all their furniture and their house. I don't know if it was Squidward or if this was from a completely different show. But yeah, it's like
yeah,
but yeah, it's
crazy.
like imagine if they could just like take everything from you if you do one wrong thing or if you don't pay something. Shoot, they can just take all your clothes too. Then you'll be in public naked.
Yes, and you might get arrested for public indecency.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you should probably just have a towel. You know, they could probably take the towel too. That's the thing. They could probably take the towel too. But at the same time, I don't know. It's like I don't know, bro. People are being naked on like Pride Month. Some people, not everybody. If some people are naked on Pride Month, I I wouldn't see how this would. I wouldn't see how me getting my clothes taken because I technically don't own them would be any different.
Yeah, very true.
And but but yeah, if people are, I'm pretty sure there are even some states where people can like be naked. There are There are literally nudist beaches too. Which
Yes, there are.
I, you know what? I actually don't know. I don't know why that was even a concept or why people came up with that. But I'm not gonna complain. I've never been to a nudist beach. I'm not really gonna complain. I mean, I would suppose as long as there are no children there, they're just adults there. And still not good, but you know, as long as as long as you're just keeping it as long as you're just keeping it safe for other people and not showing, younger individuals and fine. Not good, but you're in a place. Actually, yeah, why are there nudist beaches? Who came up? I'm gonna look that up later. Who came up with the idea of a nudist beach? That's interesting. Anyway,
That is quite the question.
yeah, honestly, yeah, that is a interesting question. Who came up with that concept? You know what? I'm willing to bet it was someone from like the 1800s or early 1920s, possibly.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, shoot, or it could be as like early as like probably. I'm willing to bet it was someone either from the 1800s, early 1900s. I'm willing to bet it was one of those two. Either in the 1800s. I'm gonna look that up later. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a rebellious man or woman who came up with that concept too, because they wanted to free their they wanted to like free themselves. That's besides the point. I'll look that up later. But yeah,
Absolutely.
uh, I'm not gonna lie. I went back on X for a minute, and I saw this one post, and it's like a 38-year-old man shows up to my house for Roblox because my kid sent him our address. Now I'm scared and don't know what to do.
Wow, that's very strange.
It is like, why would you? I'll be honest. It's strange enough that you're an adult man playing Roblox. I personally don't get the appeal. Do you get it? Oh, really? Why do people like Roblox so much?
Well, I think look, the thing is, Roblox is more than just a game that children play. It's a world of imagination. It's also a game where you can play different, multiple types of games created by the users themselves. And Roblox has been going on for many, many.
I never really played Roblox, but if I were to say that it was kind of, I don't know, probably because it's called Roblox that I'm kind of saying that it's strange. Kind of just like blocks, kids, like kids play with blocks, just Roblox. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Pretty much, it's like yeah. I'd have to say that with any other game too, but you know, at the same time, fine. Really invited a 38-year-old man to play Roblox. That is a bit strange though. That is a bit strange.
It sure is.
Why would you willingly invite me? Why would you willingly come to the address and accept the invitation? Being a grown adult man.
Well, in the kid's defense, she may not known that it was a 38-year-old man that they were talking to.
I think the child was 12.
Huh.
I think the child was 12 in that video. Yeah, no, I definitely do remember. The child was definitely 12. I'm not gonna lie though. You know what? I'm willing to somewhat give it a pass. You know, in terms of Roblox, if you're like mid 20s, early 30s at best. But if you're pushing 40 playing Roblox, and you have no wife, no child, nothing else going on for yourself, then man, you really gotta rethink your life choices because that's just sad. It's a little sad.
It's just
You know what?
unfortunate.
If you had a kid and you had an extremely and you looked at certain things from a very parental lens, then fine. I would trust you. I would. But other than that, that's all I can say. I wouldn't trust you nonetheless. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Yes, there is. I just had it for a second there. Hold on. No pope has been elected yet as black smoke emerges from Sistine Chapel chimney.
Well, I mean, I'm not that surprised that a pope has not been elected yet. But at the same time, how long does it usually take to elect a pope?
Well, it depends on how many votes fall under a two-thirds majority for a particular cardinal, which is most likely going to be the next pope. I think the longest a conclave has taken was 3 years. So, yeah,
One to
that's
three.
something.
It takes 1 to 3 years for that to happen.
No, the record for the longest conclave was 3 years.
Oh yeah, I think you definitely told me that.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I would. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. So we probably won't see who the pope is for a while then.
Yeah, I've got to give it like a couple days, a few weeks, certainly no more than a month or two. But yeah, it will
Yeah,
happen eventually, but it takes time.
that's true. That is true. That's true. So we're just gonna wait and see who the new pope is gonna be. We're gonna see if the pope is any good, any bad. Won't really affect me. Won't really affect me or anybody else in the world, but it's definitely interesting to see who's going to take up that mantle as the pope. Huh. Speaking of which, I just found out that there's a difference between a bishop and a preacher. I personally never really gave that any thought at all. I'll look up the difference later. My mom told me there was a difference. I'm like, really? Didn't really give that much thought. But yeah, the next pope, hopefully the next pope is good. That's all I gotta say. Hopefully the next pope is good. Probably better than hopefully better than Pope Francis. Well, I hope any pope that takes up the mantle is better than the Pope after. So that's how I see it. You would have to be just as good as the Pope after you or before you if you're gonna be the new Pope. Or just as good as the Pope, like before. I've only heard certain things about Pope Francis, but I can't determine how good. I wouldn't know what to say though.
Well, all I can say about Pope Francis was he made quite an impact in the Catholic Church. Like, he made a handful amount of reforms that pretty much changed most of the landscape in Catholicism, mostly. And because of most of the reforms, could potentially impact how the conclave elects the next pope.
Yeah, I will say this. I'm not gonna. Yeah, that's true. He definitely did make an impact. Whether if it was a positive impact or what some people would think of as a negative impact. But yeah, he definitely made an impact nonetheless. I'm not gonna lie, there's some people who thought I was Catholic. I'm like, really? And I was like, but hey, I find nothing wrong with the Catholics. I think there are probably some minor things I disagree with, but other than I don't see anything wrong with them in general. But hey, you know, the next Pope, hopefully he's better than Pope Francis, or I can't say just as good as him because I really I've heard certain things about him, but I don't want to base my opinion on one or probably two, three, four, five things I've heard about the guy. I'd have to actually, I would have to like search up his history, see where he came from, see how he even became the Pope. I'd have to do all that stuff. In fact, when did Pope Francis become? I'll look that up. I'll look it up later. I'll look it up later. I'll look it up. Yeah, I'll look it up later. Anyways, yeah, I would like to wonder how Pope Francis did become the Pope. It'd be interesting. That would be an interesting search. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Climate change putting millions more people at risk from infection-causing fungi.
Oh wow, crazy. So, speaking of, speaking of climate change, I don't know. I think I've seen this on Twitter. I think Greta Thunberg almost got blown up by a missile somewhere, and that. Hold on. Let me see if this. Let me look it up and see if that. Hold on. I think it says she almost got blown up by a drone or something. Aid get attacked. I'll be honest. I feel like I vaguely saw this, but I didn't. I don't want to. I don't want to say if it's true. If it's true or not. But it's like I'm pretty sure I vaguely saw it on Twitter, and I just ignored it.
Well, AI these days is very, very scary. Not just in a scarily, not in an accurate way, but also concerning how real could it be to the point it tricks even the most sharpest of minds. Because I've seen a video on Instagram Reels, and it's a fan-made parody of GTA 7, and the theme is somewhere in Africa. And oh my gosh, the graphics are so sharp. There's little hints that it's AI generated, but man, the definitions on the curvatures and the buildings, the vehicles, it could almost fool anyone.
That's true. Yeah, that is true. That is definitely true. Well, you never really know what's real and what's not real these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you never really know what's real and what's not. So I mean, it is what it is, though.
It was what it was.
That's true. That is definitely true. But yeah, it's like we just gotta wait and see what happens from then on there. But yeah, as for the climate, as I'll be honest, we went off track completely. You said there was something about like climate change. You said,
Yes. Oh yeah, the fun guy.
oh yeah, that is very unfortunate about the fungi. I will say that, man. That is terrible. I hope I would say I hope a lot of people won't get affected by that fungi, but we all know that's not going to be the case. I just hope that nothing bad happens to them from that fungi, whether it be death or whether it be a sickness or an illness of some sort that is uncurable. My condolences are with whoever is dealing with that fungi and is dealing with that in general. Obviously, you don't want anything bad to happen to anybody or their family. Yeah. So I'm just gonna wait and see what happens next. Hopefully, God is with them and they just be protected. But yeah, any thoughts?
Not much. All I can say is stay safe, be cautious, keep your social distance, and all that other stuff.
And yeah, just be safe. But yeah, at the end of the day, ultimately speaking, that's all we can do is just stay. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Fed holds rates steady as it notes rising uncertainty and stagflation risk.
Okay. Anything more on that news?
The Federal Reserve held its benchmark interest rate steady at 4.25% to 4.50% on May 7th, 2025, amid rising uncertainty and stagflation risk in the United States economy. This decision follows concerns about broad import tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, which could rise prices and slow economic growth through the precise impact remains unclear. The Fed noted, inflation has cooled since its 2022 peak, and unemployment remains low. But policymakers acknowledge that risks of higher inflation and unemployment have increased simultaneously. Chair Powell stated the Fed must balance these risks carefully, emphasizing price stability is essential for strong labor markets, while economists warn inflation may rise significantly over coming months.
I don't really have any that much thoughts on it. Do you?
Well, I have a handful of thoughts on that. So long as the economy is steady and everyone at least has something to do that contributes to the United States economy, then there's nothing to worry about. But if not, then surely something has to be done. And as soon as possible, too, because not just that I'm sick and tired of hearing stuff like that, but of course, if everyone contributes in some shape or manner, then everyone else would benefit in the long term.
That's true. Very true. I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree. And yeah, it's like, obviously there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to worry about, but if there's something to worry about, then yeah, something does need to change. That's pretty much all I got to say about that. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
I think that's us.
All right. Peace.